Last time I tried, I got accusated each game. Now that Godbridging got banned completely on Hypixel, I wonder how people will react to my rushes now. What the simp, that base Sigma chat is edge maxing in my race. His Godbridge be real bossing. Never happens anymore, right? Not to worry, I'll mute the look screens from your countenance as I show you the goated way of Godbridging that is not only objectively the best bridging method for bad wars in general, but also bypasses all the bullcrap servers throw at you with their anti-cheats. And cherry on the cake, you will learn how to consistently Godbridge without aiming and do that for more than 8 blocks without any mouse movements or strafing.
Without further interruption, let's celebrate and
Learn how to bridge. Do you remember what I said in some of my previous videos?
The orange line here is the Godbridge aim. And the blue line is 6-4 and 2-block Godbridge aims, but I'm gonna tell you what it means a bit later.
Those aim lines also lead to new bridging techniques, but I guess I'll just make another video on those. Yes, in the typical fashion of this channel, now 4 years later, when everyone's already forgotten about it, the a little bit later is actually happening. But let's start with the simple things. There are 4 types of Godbridging aim: the 8-block, 6-block, 4-block, 2-block Godbridge, and legend has it there is also the 10-block Godbridge. To understand them, you will need to either install my resource pack to fix the crosshair being misplaced as it is in vanilla Minecraft, or use crosshair mod, because when you do that, the 4 types of aim start to make sense. With it, normal aim on a 32x32 resource pack scale is located exactly between the first and the 5th pixel of the block. The 6-block aim exactly on the first pixel, and so on. But what do any of those actually mean, and how do we use it to our advantage? The number of blocks is referring to the distance you can bridge after starting off looking at that line of aim, moving straight without moving your mouse, holding S and D or S and A. To use it, if you are playing on 1.8.9, you need to sneak at the edge of the block and aim at that line. On the newer versions, when you sneak, your aim moves much further down, but that doesn't change anything, as it works the same way when you unsneak, just moves up 3 pixels. And that way, the normal Godbridge aim is located exactly, beautifully at the edge of the block. The math in Minecraft's code creates squares even here. Just to demonstrate, I'm on 1.8 right now, and when I unsneak at the edge of the block, and then aim at the very edge, between the 2 sides, and sneak again, my aim is going to be exactly at the middle of the correct 8-block Godbridge aim, and so I can continue from this point. So you can do the same on 1.16. If you aim right in the middle, you can Godbridge from that point. And in case sneaking animation confuses you, you don't have to do that. Next up, the 6-block aim and the first trick, which most of you already know. So you fall after 6 blocks with it, but if you do the jump after 6 blocks, you can continue a normal 8-block Godbridge. But what happens if you do the first jump with a normal aim after 6 blocks? Nothing! You can also continue normally. That means that with this trick, you can expand the aiming line and spend even less time aiming. And this is common knowledge now. I've mentioned it in my tutorial, I told Badless Noob how to use it, and I learned it from the guy who was the first popular Godbridger on YouTube, Bean Marco, an absolute bridging legend. He made a tutorial on it in German, which I don't speak, but it was so amazing that I watched it anyway, and he used that trick every time he wasn't sure he aimed correctly. So if the Godbridger used it, maybe you should too. But I'll tell you more, even if you aim a bit higher, there's still a way to successfully Godbridge from that point. And now we are stepping into the uncharted territory with the 4-block aim, which in a 64x64 resource pack scale is located exactly at the 3rd pixel near the edge. But this time on top of the block. It turns out you can do the same trick with it. The bottom pixel of the normal aim won't work with the 4-block jump, however the space you have for aiming is so large that you don't have to do that at all. You don't even sneak for it. And yes, if you do sneak, the aiming line for Godbridging if you are planning to do the 4-block jump is of the same size as if you were planning to do a 6-block jump. It's just 1/4 of a pixel higher. However, the reason 4-block jump is so efficient for Godbridging without aiming is that the bridges with it don't get ruined by momentum you gained before starting the bridge in the first place. Basically, instead of walking for the first 2 blocks, you start the bridge while already having some momentum, and that's why you need to jump after 4 blocks. When I put that clip in a montage 3 years ago, most people didn't even understand the clip. But that's not the coolest thing that I put in a montage with it, because it also unlocks a completely new bridging technique, which is simply put objectively the best for most Minecraft Island minigames. Let me explain. You're all familiar with 1 stack, 2 stack and 3 stack bridging techniques, but there are also 2 techniques called stack and hold stack. The idea behind them is to create a bridge which is perfect for running across it and jumping so that you don't get stopped by the block in front of you and can go forwards at maximum speed. With stack, you go up 1 level in a cycle of 3, 3 again and 4 blocks. And when I created these techniques, I hadn't met a single person who realized that you have to repress space to go up 17% faster. I believe it was discovered like 3 years later by the Godbridging community. Therefore, there's also hold stack with a 3 and 4 stack cycle that creates a perfect bridge for running forwards and holding your spacebar. And at that time I knew that that must be the perfect bridging technique for bedwars. But I thought that you can't do it fast enough without sneaking. I tried to do eagle bridge stack instead, but it was difficult because you need to perfectly time pressing the spacebar and sneaking for only a moment exactly after you jump to do it in the fastest way possible. And then I discovered this. So if you aim higher, not at the normal Godbridge aim, but at the 4 to 6 block aim, you can do a very similar pattern without sneaking, strafing or moving your mouse at all. The story behind this bridging technique is I used to play a lot of Norok Space and Ravensight when I discovered it, and at some point Norok Space had this problem where blocks disappeared under you after you got bridge for 32 blocks. But this bridging technique totally fixed that problem, and therefore, to no surprise of mine, on Hypixel that technique also works. It is not an accident. I knew that is the solution immediately, and that's pretty much why I'm making this video. And technically, since speed tally was invented, although it is more expensive in terms of blocks because you play some extra ones, the way you normally do it, it is the best bridging method for bedwars. I mean, it literally has the idea of jumping forwards behind it. You are creating it and using it at the same time. But there is no person in the world who could feel safe speed tallying without a bed. So practically, stack Godbridge still remains the best bridging technique for bedwars, as it is easier to do than even normal Godbridge due to you being able to reset the timings in your head upon jumping more often. And it is not forbidden on Hypixel, unlike speed tally. And oh my god, would you look at those excuses.
I'm not a loser, not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
And that was a low blow. Let's settle this like real men in a 101.
I wish you were in high school, I could take him behind the gym.
He just quit. So apparently my overwhelming presence in this game was too much to handle for him. So since I have some free time in this game, let's not waste it, and I'm gonna teach you the last useful trick that you can do with the 6 and 4 block Godbridge aim, and that is the distorted Godbridge. And actually my very first video on this channel was on this exact bridging technique, and the idea behind this is that you do the first jump after 2 blocks. Yes, you aim for the 6 block Godbridge, but you do the first jump after 2 blocks. But the next jumps you do in a pattern of 12, 4, 12, 4 and so on. Yes, you heard me right, 12. So you can Godbridge for more than 8 blocks with this technique, and it is basically as efficient as normal Godbridging in terms of keeping you at the same height. It just has a different pattern. So basically what it does is it distorts the fabric of the universe itself, breaks the game of bedwars completely. So while the forbidden visual technique of stack Godbridge only demolishes the opponents that happen to look at it, the distorted Godbridge should make everyone quit and make you win any game immediately. Wait, what's the sound that I hear? Oh my god, that's not what's supposed to happen. No, no, wait, no!